there have been challenges and mistakes made over 9 years. You reflect on some of your successes there, and what you see as what you want to leave and make an impact on the country through your decision making. What do you see as, if I could have that one back, I would do it differently the next time?
Electoral reform.
Yeah, music to my ears. You
said
that just for me, right?
I don't say that just for you. Actually, in one sense, I do say it just for you, because I know in just about any other interview,
I was going to raise it.
Any other interview, the interviewer's eyes glaze over, go, okay, yeah, but give me something real that you regret, right?
Yeah.
I said, no. This is real. For me, I look at where the world is going and where polarization has happened and where excesses of populism have been able to come in. And the winner-take-all version of first past the post that we have right now, where you can get elected as the MP for 100% of people in your riding with 32% of the vote, if it's properly divided, if it's divided amongst other parties, is not just devaluing the votes of so many others, but it's giving you a false sense of being the only legitimate voice for your community. And if I could do things differently, I don't know exactly how I would have, but I certainly would have done things differently around electoral reform to try and make sure that we are not going to be fighting this next election under first past the post again.
Yeah, this easily in 9 years, the worst day I had as a Liberal caucus member was the day we broke that promise. It looked... it looked a little bit cynical to say, we can't figure out a path, and so we're gonna, just burn it to the ground, never talk about it again. That's probably not how you would feel about it.
I made two big mistakes on this one. The first one, because of some very strong voices in my caucus who were very, very clear that they wanted to at least be able to make an argument for proportional representation, which I feel very, very strongly would be a mistake for Canada. I left the door open to proportional representation instead of ranked ballot, even within my own team. And that made a whole bunch of people who heard me say, last election is first past the post, translate that into he's going to bring in proportional representation, which I was not, which I never was going to, and I wasn't clear enough on that. We can have the argument about
it wasn't last election on our first past the post. It was make every vote count. Make every vote count is language. I know, but make every vote count was in our platform. Make every vote count was language lifted a little bit from fair vote. So that it was like a few different ways that it was like
that was deliberately that people wanted to make sure that we were bringing in the fair vote people. Sure. And even though I had been very clear with caucus and at the Liberal convention in 2012 how much I am opposed to the idea of proportional representation, I couldn't. It was something that I had to leave a little bit of a door open to, and unfortunately because of that, it got further. And when people realized that no, I was not going to let move forward.
Yeah, if you were never going to go there from the get-go,
I could have been clearer on that, because we could talk about why I think proportional representation is dangerous for the country, and it doesn't have to do as much with sort of augmenting fringe voices, although that is one of the arguments that I think is interesting. The big one is I am really worried about decoupling members of parliament in the House from a community of people who both voted for them and didn't vote for them. That they have to serve.
I don't think any advocate in Canada is arguing for doing away with, anyone advocate for more proportional systems advocates for doing away with local representation. But
then you also give people who got elected because they were on a party list, and you have MPs who owe their existence as MPs to a political party as opposed to specific Canadians. So anyway, but
you can do open list, but
I said two things. I said two things on that.
What's the second one?
The first one was I wasn't clear enough that I have real deep concerns. We knew this was going here because we're both total nerds about it, right?
True.
The second one is me not using my majority to bring in the model that I wanted. Right? Because I believe in ranked ballot. I think that if you give people choices to rank 1, 2, 3, parties will try to pitch to be people's second or even third choice. And that brings in more cooperation and overlap between political parties in a way that counters anyone who is aggressively trying to polarize. That's why I love ranked ballot. I think it's also an easy switch where people get to write 1, 2, 3, because it doesn't change the ridings, doesn't even change the ballots. You just, instead of an X, you put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever. But the consequences of changing our electoral system are so significant. It's not like bringing in a budget or a policy that you don't like that you can then vote out the next election. When you change the way people are elected, it becomes really hard to change it because by definition, whoever won under that new system likes that system a lot. Yeah. And that idea of needing consensus across and not having it was why I chose to say, okay, I'm not going to risk an irreversible change just to fulfill a promise I made to change this. And it was a difficult day for you. It was a gut-wrenching day for me to decide that I couldn't move forward on something that might hurt Canada in the long term and be irreversible without having a broader level of support in the House.